My name is Patrick Corbett. This is Design4Drupal, our June webinar. I am the CEO at Redfin Solutions and a volunteer here at Design4Drupal along with Leslie Glynn, and she'll cover announcements in just a second. This is a bittersweet one for us because it'll be our final webinar for now. Who knows what the future holds, but we thank everyone for all of your support over the years. We've been doing this for probably a decade or more, and ourselves, and then previously others were carrying D4D. It's been our pleasure to provide you with valuable Drupal education and all the networking opportunities, camps, webinars, all the people we've met over the years. I'm sure we'll see you on all the other various channels and camps and cons. But again, thank you everybody for coming today. And for those of you who have been coming over the years, thank you. For those of you who are new to Design4Drupal, we hold an annual summer event in the Boston area, and it's devoted to Drupal design, user experience, and front-end development, as well as business and process challenges facing Drupal teams. This past year's event was in person at Salem State University. It was a huge success, and we had a great time seeing everyone there. For our annual conference this year, we're going to be joining forces with our friends at NedCamp, which is another excellent Drupal-focused event in the fall that we'll introduce shortly. So just stay tuned for some updates there. We're also supported by a great team of volunteers, including Catherine Carruthers, who's behind the scenes recording our session today, and Jules Desnardi, who manages our newsletter. And for now, I'll turn things over to Leslie Glynn for some announcements. Leslie.
Thank you, Patrick. So thank you for joining the Design4Drupal June webinar. The slides, there's a QR code here, and there's a link to the slides, to a bit.ly link that brings you the slides if you want to get the slides that we're going to go through today. This will only be less than 5 minutes. Let's see. All right, so we're thrilled to have Rod Martin here talking about layout for the ambitious site builder. There's some links here to Rod's Drupal.org page and to his LinkedIn page. So Rod's a great trainer. Been working with him a long time at different camps and cons, so we're excited to have him do the webinar today. So as Patrick said, in 2023, we did have an in-person event. Thanks to everybody who sponsors, speakers, organizers, volunteers, and especially all the attendees. There are archives. If you go to the Design4Drupal.org website, there is an about page that has all the session recordings. There's also a YouTube link here for all the recordings as well. As Patrick mentioned, Design4Drupal will be part of NedCamp, New England Drupal Camp, on November 15th and 16th at Rhode Island College in Providence, Rhode Island. NedCamp has been at Rhode Island College for probably 5 years now. It's been very successful, great venue. Not in the city of Providence. It's like on the outskirts, so it's easy to get to. There's plenty of parking, all that kind of stuff. So it's a Friday, Saturday. Friday there'll be trainings, a higher ed summit, and contribution day. And on Saturday is when the sessions and the BOFs will be held. And we will have dedicated track for D4D related content. Right now, the session and training submissions are open. So if you'd like to submit a session, feel free to do that. And it is NedCamp, nedcamp.org is the website. So as Patrick also said, this is the last webinar for our 2023 sponsorship season. I'll talk about the sponsors in a minute. They sponsored a year's worth of, all these webinars and the camp as well. But thank you to all the previous webinar speakers and especially the sponsors. There is a link here. If you go to the Design4Drupal website, it does have a webinar series. It has a link. There's also, as Patrick said, recordings available on bit.ly the number 4D, YouTube 23. So those are all that'll give you a list of all the prior webinars, and you can watch any of them. And this one will be added to that list. Upcoming events, I'll go through real quick. DrupalCon Barcelona is in September. If you're interested in attending that, the early bird ticket sales end on Friday. So if you want to go and you want to get a discounted ticket, do that this week. Other upcoming community events, July 12th to 14th, Drupal Camp Asheville. Always a great take. They always do something special on Sundays, a hike or something like that, but it's a 3-day event. Drupal Camp Colorado is in July, the 25th and 6th. Drupal Camp Ottawa is on August 2nd. And then Drupal GovCon is on August 13th to 15th. That's a 3-day event. And Twin Cities Camp looks like it's back on September 12th and 13th. And of course, November 15th and 16th is New England Drupal Camp. Again, get the slides and you can get links to all of these, or you can just go to the community events page on Drupal.org. It's just Drupal.org/community/events, and upcoming Drupal camps will be listed on the left column. And then all other Drupal events will be listed here as well. Meetups or anything you might be interested in, upcoming trainings, the calls for speakers are on here. So definitely bookmark Drupal.org/community events to get the up-to-date information on what's happening in the Drupal community. The code of conduct applies even though this is a virtual event, the Drupal code of conduct. Obviously, we want everybody to feel welcome, and everybody that's on the call, please treat everybody with dignity and respect in terms of the questions and all the things that people communicate on this call. If there's any issues, we don't anticipate any, but contact Patrick or myself at the Redfin phone number, 908 Drupal. This is just a reminder for Design4Drupal 2024. Like I said, it's coming up in November. There will be dedicated tracks for our audience. There will be dedicated trainings for our audience as well. And there will be contribution opportunities on those 2 days. The link again is just nedcamp.org, and you'll find all the information there. So this is where you got to sign up to sponsors, to speak, anything like that, registration. Everything this year is happening through this other website. The good news is I've been one of the organizers of NetCamp for many years, so I know what the Design4Drupal audience is looking for. So with all these other great people that are organizers of that camp, we will be selecting sessions relevant to the Design4Drupal audience. We'll probably have 1 room, maybe 2 rooms dedicated to Design4Drupal content. So thank you to our 2023 sponsors. Going to go through these quickly. So they've sponsored the whole last year. Redfin Solutions, iFactory were our gold sponsors. Last Call Media was the after party sponsor. Mythic Digital was a keynote sponsor. Digital sponsors were Dev Collab, ValueBound, Common Media, Lullabot, New England Drupal Camp, Canopy Studios, and Atten. And then our in-kind sponsors were OCO Labs, OS Training, and 108 Degrees. So thank you to all of them. They've been very good sponsors this year and in prior years. We do need sponsors for 2024, though. So if you can go to the NetCamp website, if you go to the sponsorship link at the top, there is a sponsorship prospectus where you can look at the different levels and see how you might be able to help us out. And digital sponsorship is one of those as well. So on social media, pound D4D Boston is our link. There's a Q&A tab. Please use that for any questions. We'll do the questions at the end. Patrick will read through them. And Patrick, take it away. He's going to introduce Rod.
Thanks, Leslie. Rod Martin, today's speaker, most recently provided training to us at the last Design4Drupal, and I heard it went really well. He works with OS Training and provides live and video-based training to nearly 50,000 so far in his career. He's done a great job introducing many folks to Drupal. Rod was born in Australia, raised in Canada, and currently resides in the US. So he comes to us with a ton of life and technical experience. Today, Rod will introduce us to Layout Builder, and specifically for the ambitious site builder in all of us. And we're looking forward to learning all about it. I hear he's going to show us how to build a Drupal website without any programming needed. Welcome to D4D, Rod. Take it away.
Thank you. All right, let me share my screen. And just making sure. Yep. Well, hi, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to you today. My name, as you already know, is Rod Martin. On the screen and in the chat, I put a link to the PDF for today. It's about 36 pages, just a bunch of information about what we're doing and what we're going to cover today. In that information, I also talk about a pre-configured site. The URL for that is rodsurl.com/starter site. Rodsurl.com is a Drupal site because I got tired of not being able to use my own shortcuts, so I made one. And so there we go. The PDF, as I said, is about 36 pages long, and I'm renaming this talk actually for Drupal Camp Asheville in a couple of weeks to be Starshot. Are you waiting for it? Don't. And anyway, we'll talk more about that as we go. So again, rodsurl.com/layout builder for the notes today. And I've got a whole introduction slide here that I'm probably just going to skip because, well, Patrick did such a great job. I do a lot of training over the years. Acquia Academy, LinkedIn Learning, OS Training, YouTube, of course, Promit Source, Taito Learning, and others. I get the privilege to teach at a bunch of Drupal camps every year. I did most of the DrupalCons from Chicago forward back in 2011. I did a lot of the training for those. So again, really happy to be with you today. I do live in a tiny little town called Dillsboro, Indiana. It's southwest of Cincinnati. I still play ice hockey. This is a Drupal jersey I won at DrupalCon LA, and proudly still, well, it hangs in my closet because I don't want to wreck it, right? So I don't play hockey with it. I just took the picture. I ride a motorcycle everywhere I go. Just a couple of fun things about me. Anyway, you've probably seen this cartoon. The learning curve of popular content management systems, you know, WordPress. It's pretty old because it's still this Mod X, for heaven's sakes. But then there was Drupal. I'm sure you've probably seen this cartoon. I'm here to tell you today that I don't necessarily agree with that anymore. I do think it was true for a long time, but I think today with Drupal 10, I think we've far, far more advanced. The problem is, even for that beginning site builder, Drupal is incredibly difficult to grasp, especially if they're coming from a content management system that's radically different, like SharePoint or something. I do a lot of enterprise and government training, and the people who are new to Drupal all pretty much share that with me. This is great, it's robust, but I'm still a little confused. So we spend a lot of time in site building just going through what I call the site building workflow. So why are we doing this session today? Well, I think one of the key things that people struggle with when they come through Drupal and they start learning how to use it is the idea of layouts. So as we talk about that and talk about the ambitious site builder that Dries introduced, I think he first mentioned it in 2017, but he's certainly talked about it now for the last number of DrupalCons. This idea of the person who wants to build sites that isn't 100% a developer, but they don't want to go and use Wix, you know? I mean, who wants to use that anyway? But they want that middle road where I can build amazing websites, very robust websites, with maybe having some code, maybe customizing a theme, and maybe some custom module development, but I want to be able to do it pretty much in the UI. But I need the robustness of a thing like Drupal for structured data, for layouts, for views, and all of those things. This is the site building workflow I teach from when I teach people who are brand new to Drupal. And we talk about content types, fields, taxonomy, media, modules, and more, permissions paths. It's when we get to the layout step that everybody kind of goes, oh, well, that doesn't really work, does it? And as you all know, because you're here, out of the box, no, it really doesn't. Not without template overrides in a theme or some kind of page builder, which Drupal notoriously hasn't ever had a really good one. Sure, we had Display Suite and Panoply and panels in Drupal 7. Drupal 8, 9, and 10 struggled a little bit. Well, the purpose of today is to help you understand that you can take Layout Builder Core and some contributed modules and make layout really, really work without a line of code. That's the goal. Now, before we go any further, If you've not been under a rock for the last couple of months, you've probably heard about Starshot. And one of the things that's coming in Starshot is the Experience Builder. This will absolutely change everything. All of the page builders I'm about to talk about, I think they're going to go away. I think they're going to, for the beginning or even experienced site builder, I think they're going to go away. For the enterprise, for a lot of the large development shops like ProMatSource and others like Acquia, they're still going to use their they're going to use their own page builders. I still think so. But for the average site builder, people who are new to Drupal, yeah, what I'm about to share with you won't be relevant in, I'm thinking 18 months. Who knows, right? It's Drupal after all, and it's all contributed, so we'll see. But if everything they promise comes about, then wow, we're going to see, I think, some pretty big changes. And I'm all for that because I think even with the solution I'm going to give you today, it's still a struggle. So let's take a couple of minutes and talk about some of the, the progress in your book. I've got a page on this, a page on it, and I think it's going to be, it should be, let's see which page is it. Just a second, sorry. Yeah. There's some links here on page 10 in the book. I just attended a webinar last week on the latest update here on the Experience Builder. It's going to be awesome if, again, it gets the whole treatment, and I'm pretty excited about it. However, what do we do for the next 18 months? That's what we're talking about today. So a couple of the thoughts, quick overview of some of the page builders. You've got Acquia Site Studio. Don't know if you've had a chance to play with that. I teach this for Acquia, and it's awesome. It's really, really good, right? It's probably the closest to Elementor from WordPress. But number one, you've got to be an Acquia customer to use it. You're locked in, and if the developers don't implement it well, it can become a true nightmare to use. So again, I think it's great, but it's difficult. DXPR has a really good layout builder. It's not free. It's very clean, very easy to use. There's the pricing information there. It's not expensive, like it's nowhere near what Acquia Site Studio is. But again, you're locked in as a site builder to using their site, to using their layout tool if you choose to use it. And it's not core, and it's not contributed. It's custom. So good luck adding any features to it, right? But that said, it's really, really nice. Another one is from A10 Design Group called Mercury. You have to sign up to get a demo. So I don't know if it's good or not because I'm not signing up for anything. A really good one is the OpenY from the YMCA. It's a completely open source $1 million project that the YMCA or OpenY has gone through over the last number of years. It's amazing. You can use it for free. The good thing is that all of the components, the advanced components, are available as modules, not recipes, but modules that you can install in your distribution. So again, one of the cons, it's a distribution that you have to use. And again, it's not core and contrib alone. It's got all kinds of stuff added to it. What we're going to try and do today is share with you a way of doing Layout Builder well in core and contrib. Now, I want you to hear me really clearly on this point, okay? This is just one way. Is it the best? I don't know. It works for me. I'm moving 30 Joomla sites right now into Drupal, and I have started every one of them with this starter site or what I'm about to show you today. And it has saved me hours and hours and hours. And I can get pretty much all the layouts I need right out of the box with what I'm going to share with you. Also, it is core and contrib with no code. Therefore, there's almost no friction in getting this up and running. somebody at Drupal Camp Florida stood up and said he's tired of hearing about the best way to use Layout Builder. And I get it, because there's a lot of different ways. I mean, just look at the contributed page these days. But again, what I'm trying to present today is just one approach that's worked for me and has been super helpful. Another one of these layout builders is Provis from PromoteSource. It's excellent. And I mean, it's really, really excellent. Again, however, it's a distribution. And it is not upgradable or updatable at this time. That's a huge con for me. I work with PromoteSource. I teach for PromoteSource. I wouldn't use Provis for myself. Not right now. Because of that very fact. It is better than anything I'm doing. And I would say it's somewhere between, say, Site Studio from Acquia and DXPR. It's really, really good. But again, you get locked in and it's not upgradable. So again, I think that's a problem, but it is amazing. So I have a starter site that you can use to experiment with all of this. You will need a GitHub account. And I'm going to show you directions on this if we get a chance. But all the instructions are there in the book on page, what page are we on here? Page 11. And it's literally click a button and a site will start up for you that is completely pre-configured with everything I'm about to show you. Don't do it now because you'll miss out on all the good stuff as I'm talking, because you'll need to sign up for a bunch of things, at least for GitHub, and then that transfers over to Gitpod. Huge thanks to Ofer from Florida for this. All right, if you want to follow along, you can open a browser to DrupalLayoutBuilder.com, where I have the starter site pretty much ready to go. Here's some of the background to it. By the way, this took me a week to build initially, and then I've tweaked it since then. I got sick at Christmas. So while I'm recovering from COVID and bronchitis, I'm sitting in a chair and I'm going, I'm tired of installing all this stuff every time. So that's why I did this. Anyway, I use the DXPR theme, which is free. It's amazing. You can use any theme you want, but this is a blank theme that you can really build on. And in the settings area, it gives you just an amazing amount of flexibility. I've updated all the text formats with media, link it, button styles. I've removed the image upload. You'll see that when we get there. That's no longer true. I've eliminated the button block type because I put it into the basic text field. The Google Map block uses a simple Gmap to turn a one-line address into a Google Map. I've updated the Media Manager. If you do download this and you'll take a look at it, I've added usage statistics, I've updated the view, I've added keywords to all of your media and stuff like that. And I've added a whole bunch of styles, yes, using Acid Injector. And I can already hear the gasps in the room. I like Acid Injector for testing things out so I can mess around with stuff more easily than shoving it all into the theme initially. At some point, I'll put it all in the theme, of course. But I love Acid Injector for the flexibility it gives me there. I've got links in the guide here for the basic tutorials or documentation for Layout Builder itself, all the add-on modules, a course at OS training on this. It's not free, but it's not expensive. And SpecBee's got actually a pretty good blog on it as well. So here are the modules the contributed modules that I added. I'm not going to go over Layout Builder basics. I mean, you install it, you turn it on, you apply it to a content type. That's all you need to know. However, I've added these add-on modules. Now, why these? Well, I went for where there's no other option. It was a no-brainer, like Bootstrap Layout Builder. Where there were options, kind of like Layout Builder styles, I went with the ones that work best for my personal style and preference. Again, this is why I'm saying this is just one way to do it, not the best way, not the only way, right? However, for me, as little friction as possible. I didn't want to have to configure things out the wazoo, install JavaScript libraries. If it didn't get installed for me, I didn't use it. If it didn't work the first time I went and looked at it, I didn't use it. And so some of you are going to say, well, what about Layout Builder Plus? that falls under that category for me. It didn't work, so I didn't use it. I'm a fan of best practices, but again, here I went with what incurs less friction, i.e. the use of Asset Injector. All right, so let's talk about the modules that we used. And again, you can follow along here at DrupalLayoutBuilder.com, which is right here. Sorry, DrupalLayoutBuilder.com. And I'm just going to be looking at the stuff here. Everything's listed here for you, all the configuration I did, and there's a demo page, which I'll come back to now as we go through the rest of the webinar together. So the first one you install, or I installed, was Bootstrap Layout Builder. I give you the links for all of this and some information for each one. What it does, well, it's Bootstrap. So it's responsive grid support, all the usability and UX that Bootstrap brings to you. You'll need a good Bootstrap-based theme to use it the best. That's why I like DXPR. And it works incredibly well with Layout Builder. Up until about 2 months ago, there was a deprecated module that was included. That's been now removed. And so if you installed the starter site, say, I don't know, 3 months ago, you got some, I guess about 4 months ago now, you would need to do some updates. But it's all better now, and it's fantastic. When you install it, instead of getting the standard 1, 2, 3, or 4 column layout, you now get a beautiful Bootstrap style layout that can be boxed or edge to edge. And I got asked the other day, do you ever use the one in the middle? And I went, no, I really don't. For me, it's either boxed or edge to edge with gutters or without gutters. Again, the value here is not only is it 100% responsive, but I can add background colors, images, video. I can apply CSS on any level in a new section that I build. And so this is a no-brainer to me. This is the very first one I install. Again, you have background, typography, spacing, border, shadow, and animation options. So when you look at this page, and I click on Layout, for instance, and I click Add Section, then this is where you get the options you have that are available. Let me get my face out of the way, sorry. And if I want to change the background, all of these are configurable via CSS, and the CSS to do all of this is in the starter site as well. And so I've got my own colors in there. These are not the standard colors. I've added some of my own, of course, images and remote video as well. Typography, colors, and alignment, spacing, you get the idea. It's a pretty robust kind of module. It works with container settings where you can add your own classes, as well as another module that I'll cover in just a minute. So that's Bootstrap Layout Builder. I can't imagine not having it and not using it. Here's some of the background configuration items. Again, under Configuration and Bootstrap Layout Builder, you'll see these. Again, if your theme supports full width layouts like DXPR, then again, Bootstrap Layout Builder can provide those full width experiences that look just so good, including full width video, 100% wide video, which I think is awesome. And I give you the CSS for that as well. The next one is Layout Builder blocks. Again, wouldn't consider using Layout Builder without this. It basically does for blocks what Bootstrap Layout Builder does for sections. So it adds all of the elements like background, typography, spacing, border, etc., to your block layouts as well. And so one of the great features here is as you create custom block types, you can create them with not only your own built-in CSS, but you can manipulate them right there as a layout, as a builder as well. So here on the page, if I come over here to a basic, let me see just a second here. If I want to add a basic block, By the way, this is in a modal because of another module I'll talk about in just a minute. I can add a title, a body, and then I have all of that styling information for the blocks. So if you want your blocks to swing in from the left, you can do that. Again, really fantastic. It's a seamless integration. The third one that to me is a no-brainer is Layout Builder Styles. There are no issues with this. There is an alternative to this one called Layout Custom Section Classes. This one provides more detail for the site builder. But what Layout Builder Styles does is it just gives you a button. And that's really smart. So this one has a style called Rounded Corners. And so a site builder, all they need to do to have nicely rounded corners around images and things is click Rounded Corners. Well, it was built by the head of IT over at Princeton, and he's such a great guy. He shared it with the community, and it's one of the ones I use because it's simple, no friction, easy for content editors to figure out. You can have groups. CSS can apply to either sections or blocks, so you can have different CSS styles for each. You can enforce a selection of no more than one style or allow multiple styles. You can restrict styles to be only on certain block types and section types. And again, you can put them in style groups. And to use it, all you do is give it a name, like hide section. On the demo site, for instance, if I click on Bootstrap 1 here, one of them is to hide this section. You can't see that because my face is in the way. There we go. If I click hide this section, which is a Bootstrap style, it just applies the no display value in normal CSS. The way I use this is I will create sections that I don't want to delete or remove, right? How frustrating is that? I create this layout and I don't need this section for just a little while. Up until now, the only option is to delete it. Well, you don't have to anymore. You can just hide it. Oh, huge, huge. I use it all the time. Layout Builder Styles. So again, in the configuration of it, you give it a name. You give it a name. You define the class. And then in Asset Injector or somewhere else, you provide the CSS for that class. And when somebody clicks in the link, boom, they get that CSS applied. It can either be in a block, in a section, and you can have as many groups as you want. And as I said, you can add restrictions to it as well. So again, it integrates incredibly well, really easily right into your configuration area. The next one is Layout Builder Restrictions. This module may not be necessary for a lot longer. It's coming into core, I believe, but I don't think there's a date set. There are no alternatives for you. What this does is it allows you basically just to restrict blocks. You'll know when you click Add Block in Layout Builder, down on the right-hand side, there's a gazillion things you can do. You may not want that. This allows you to restrict what shows up in the right-hand column when you click Add Block, because you don't want a content editor adding, say, a menu to a node, right? Or something like that. So again, this is super helpful. Also, it allows you to restrict having the default block sections and only making the ones that you want to be available, like the 1, 2, and 3 column bootstrap sections. Hugely helpful. Again, we want to reduce the friction for our content editors so they're not worried about which one to choose. I love this one. Layout Builder Reorder. I was just watching a video this morning of a guy building a Drupal site, and he got to the point of using Layout Builder. He went, oh, I can't reorder my sections. Well, yes, you can if you have Layout Builder Reorder in here. Layout Builder Reorder adds an up and down link or a move up and down link into your section area, and it's just awesome. So again, if I'm here, you can see right there on my sections, if I want to move this section down, click, and it's moved down. If I want to move it up, I click Move Up. You can't click and drag. It's literally just moving them up one at a time. But I got to tell you, none of the page builders do that. All of them use this kind of technique, and again, contributed module. How cool is that? Probably one of my favorites and the biggest time saver you'll use is Section Library. Section Library has no issues. It works great. There is another one called Layout Builder Library that adds some really neat functionality. I just found this one to be better, at least for me. This mimics Acquia's Site Studio and Promise Source's Provis with the ability to save sections and pages, entire pages, to a library so that you can just instantly click and add them again. So you can import from a library, or if you've added a section, or if you want to add a section to the library, you can literally just save it. This shows up in your content page under Layout Builder Library, where you'll now have all of your saved assets. So let's take a look and see how this works. I'm just going to come down here and click Add or Import from Library. And on this site, I don't have a whole many. On this side, I've deleted all my images. Sorry about that. But if I wanted to have a text on the left and an image card on the right, there it is. There's the text on the left with a heading block, a text block, and the image block is not working because, again, I deleted most of the images by accident. But I can add one back pretty easily. And there it is. So again, adding them back in is really simple. If you want to save one, you just click Add to the Library. So I'm going to click Add to the Library. I'm going to give it a name, basic block with background, color, and quickly take a screenshot of this. Whoops, hang on. Sorry about that. There we go. Add section. And now, if I go to my content menu and or Layout Builder Library, there it is. So as I mentioned, again, this allows you to save sections but not blocks, okay? And entire pages. So you create a master marketing page, and with one click, your content editors can insert that into a layout and then update each block and configure it as they need. Super helpful, huge time saver. All right, you've probably already noticed this one. Layout Builder Modal allows all of your block configurations to open up in a modal window, and you can set how wide that is, how big that is. It works perfectly on mobile as well, not so much a phone, but an iPad and things like that. The alternative here would be Layout Builder Plus, but again, as I mentioned, I had some struggles with that, and I stick with what was least amount of friction. So you've seen that in action already. Layout Builder Direct Add is this. So if I come in back over to my demo page, I had to restart that, I'm so sorry, and I click Layout. This allows me to add custom blocks directly. Now, there is another alternative to this. I like this one for now. I think if your list gets much longer than this, you probably should use the alternative. But I like it because I don't have to click Add Block, Add Custom Block, choose the block type, and go. I can literally just click Heading. And it's going to insert a custom block type called Heading. All of your custom blocks are managed under Structure and Blocks, as you know, and you can create them with whatever fields you want. I have in this one just a title and a body, and it's that body that gets blown up to a heading, an H2 tag with some CSS wrapped around it. So again, really nice, really fun, easy way to do it. The option or the alternative to this is Layout Builder Browser. The unfortunate thing to me with that is it's more manual to maintain. You actually have to manually add each block type, or each block type, and manually have your own images for it that are in a folder somewhere. You can't just upload an image like you could with Section Library. So again, I like direct add. I think if I had more custom blocks though, I would eventually switch to Layout Builder Browser. And that's what it looks like without any images, of course. So pretty handy though. Another one I love is Layout Builder Save and Edit, and I know we're almost out of time, so I'm going to quickly finish this up. This adds literally a save and edit button. That's all it does. You know, if you click save, it takes you out of Layout Builder. It drives me crazy. So save and edit will save and keep you in Layout Builder. Huge time saver. I love it. I also use it on all of my content types. There's another module for that as well. All right, so how does it all work then? So with those modules configured, I created a set of custom block types because everything's an entity in Drupal 10. And so now I have a card block type with certain fields, a files list card block type, a simple Gmap module Google Map, which takes a single line of text and makes it into a Google Map without using the API, a heading, I just showed you that one, image embed. Everything here uses focal point. I have a whole stack of image styles built in. A large banner with centered text and a large banner with text on the side. That's what these two are. That's the large banner with text on the side. And again, you don't have to set any CSS in any of these. The CSS is created for you. A stats card, which looks like this. So typical stats card, nothing fancy. Site Studio and Provis have them spin in. All the numbers spin up. I didn't do that. It's just stat cards. Two-column layout is interesting. What that does is it allows me to do this kind of thing where I can do that kind of a block, but I can split this left column into two columns. So there's a block here, and a wider block here. That's kind of handy at times. And then, of course, a 100% responsive video block. Which looks like this. So you get the full 100% responsive video, and that looks fantastic on a phone, of course. I've made this little video wall. I've also got views in here. This is an upcoming events view with the title, the image, the date, and a little bit of the intro text, and a latest news and a latest events block as well. What's missing? Well, I removed the button block type. I had to use a rigmarole to get it working. So instead, what I've just done is I've created 7 different button styles in the WYSIWYG editor, or I guess 8 different button styles in the WYSIWYG editor, and that's how I do buttons now. And again, this is all CSS, just editable, right? I don't have a slideshow. I don't like slideshows, and I don't have FAQ accordions because I don't like those either. There's modules for all of those things, so you're welcome to do those. Flexible cards layouts, they can be created with the layout builder that I've done, but it just takes a little bit of work. Like I said, with this one, there's one style, there's another style, there's another style. Again, this is all done by just telling your section and your blocks what background colors, what background images you want. Putting this, that's a heading block, that's a basic text block with a button embedded, and the block background is blue. Actually, the section background is the dark blue, and the image there is just got an image style applied to it. That's the full-size image block, and as you can see. So that's about all. Again, let me just share with you, if you do, and of course I crashed it when I had to restart everything. If you do go to and build the starter site, it opens up in a Gitpod repository. If you've never used that before, in the book, I give you links on how to learn. It's really, really simple how to actually use Gitpod. But basically, you click a link and an entire site starts up for you. And what you've seen on the screen at Drupal Layout Builder, well, this is yours to use. It's Gitpod. It becomes yours. It's not mine anymore, and you can do anything you want. I've got a video here on how to use it and how it's configured, and I've got a bunch of tip videos and more material over at a site called drupalhelps.com that you're welcome to ping me there as well. Lastly, there's some additional resources in the book. OS Training offers a course on Layout Builder. It's 99% of what I've shared with you today only takes 4 hours to go through, so we can teach you how to do it all along the way as well. So with that, let me stop and thank you, and let's take some questions.
Thanks, Rod. That was excellent. I didn't realize about the OpenY distribution. I'm going to check that out. That sounds really cool.
It's amazing. So I talked to Avi at Drupal Camp Chicago, or Mid Camp, I guess, and he was telling me a little bit about it because I felt bad because I hadn't included it the first time I taught this class, and it's exceptional. They've literally spent over $1 million developing it. It's completely open source. And yeah, you can go ahead and just download it. You don't have to be the Y to use it. So
right, cool.
So John's
questions. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me show you very quickly here. I created it. Some of it's built in. So
and Rod, let me just let me speak the question just in case anyone can't see it. The question is the CSS created for you by the theme or by one of the modules you suggested? Just trying to connect in my brain between creating a block and having it styled on the front end.
Such a great question. So every block type has its own definition in your code. So you can use the inspector tool to see what the CSS is. So for instance, here, I'm just going to open up Layout Builder Styles. This is Asset Injector if you've never used it. And I have a, there it is there, block inline. Let me just see if I can blow that up a whole bunch so you can see it. Block inline block card, and then block content card field heading. So this is the card block type. And that's defined by Drupal. I just go find out what the CSS selector is, and then I add the CSS I want in here. So if I insert a card block, then the color, the font weight's going to be 400. For the heading, it's going to be 1.2 EM. It's going to have some margins, some padding, and things like that. And then it's going to have some spacing around it. And then it's going to have some. It's going to have a little drop shadow, and the padding for the body field is just the content card body is going to have some padding. So yeah, I added this CSS. The CSS definitely takes a little longer because you've got to find the inspector, find the selector, and then define it. But for instance, large banner. Here's the CSS for the large banner. So if you go, insert block large banner, then text align is center, font size for the H2 is 4 EM, P is 1.5, and H4 is 2.0. Works great on a phone, works great on a tablet, works great on a desktop. Oh, and it's got a fixed height of 420 pixels. So you want to be careful how much content you put in there, or change the CSS.
Excellent. The other question was, does Olivero support Bootstrap?
Yes, Olivero supports Bootstrap very, very well. The reason I like DXPR so much, and I really love DXPR, is it gives you the flexibility not only to set up your own colors, but you can set up you can declare which regions are full width, which content types are full width. So I have landing page and the news here as a full width, so I can put full width hero banners across the top in a block region. And in Layout Builder. And you can declare your fonts, and it actually downloads all your fonts, so you can't get in trouble in Germany and the EU for if you have Google Fonts embedded. It allows you to set up your typography. It's just an amazing, and it's a free theme. I love DXPR, but you can use it with, Lab Builder works with most Drupal themes.
That's great. I think that's all the questions for now. We've got 5 more
Okay.
minutes. Leslie, would you like to add a few things here?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Rod for joining and also for doing the trainings at Design4Drupal in person camps in the past. They were super helpful, super well received. As I'm sure this will be, there'll be a lot of people, I'm sure, watching this video after the fact and going through what you presented. If does anybody have any final questions? We still have quite a few people on the call. If not, I think we can let Rod go. And again, Rod, thank you so much. It was a great session. Really appreciate it as our last one for now for D4D webinars. Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, great.
Yep.
Thanks, Cam. Appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to be here with you today. And I hope it's helpful. Like I said, it's not the only way. And it's not even necessarily the best way, but I love it. I'm building 30 sites with it, and it's just saving me so much time. And it's yours. You can welcome to download it. Again, rodsurl.com/starter site. This is what will show up when you do download it, and you click this little arrow button over here at the top right. It'll open it up in a new tab. The username and password is admin and admin. Don't worry, it's 100% secure. You're the only one that can get to the site.